Hello viewers, this is Fides Television live on Fides Media. I am Dennis Joy. A special welcome to another episode of News Flash, your weekly rundown of the top stories featured in the Fides newspaper. Let's have a quick time out, and when we come back, we will dive into the news updates for this week. Please stay tuned. It's great to have you back. Thanks for staying tuned. Now let's look into the news updates for this week. Awka Catholic Diocese protests invasion of cathedral land, takes matter to SCID, drags Awka community to courts. The Catholic Diocese of Awka has taken the invasion of St. Patrick's Catholic Cathedral land, which it described as unlawful, to the State Criminal Investigation Department, SCID, Amobia, Anambra State. The priest working in all the parishes in Awka community, together with the director of Fides Media, Reverend Father Dr. Robert Anagboso, trooped out recently to protest what they described as forceful break and entry into the cathedral's premises, as well as malicious damage of the church property. Another major story featured in the front page of the Fides newspaper reads, "Compete only with yourself, remember the needy, Bishop Kuka to Soludo." The Catholic Bishop of Sokoto Diocese, Most Reverend Azan Kuka, has advised the Governor of Anambra State, Professor Chukwuma Soludo, to compete with only himself and always remember the needy. This story is continued on page 4 of the Fides newspaper. Another major story on the front page of the Fides newspaper reads, "The spiritual advantages of fasting." Fasting is an ancient form of mortification commonly accepted as a powerful means of self-discipline, not only in Christianity, but also in such other great religions of the world as Islam and Judaism. For Christians, fasting has a supernatural value because it is one of the recognized forms of penance, whereby one atones for one's sins and humiliates oneself before God. You can get more information on the spiritual advantages of fasting on page 11 of the Fides newspaper. Also, Zone 13 gets 8 substantive AIG as Oladipo replaces retired Agulo. Let's have a glimpse of the story. The Assistant Inspector General of Police, AIG, Abayomi Peter Oladipo, has assumed duty as the 8th substantive AIG of Zone 13 headquarters, Ukpo, Dunukofia local government area, Anambra State. It replaces Assistant Inspector General of Police, Zone 13, Ukpo, AIG Godwin Ndidi Agulo. This story and more can be found on page 15 of the Fides newspaper. Meanwhile, Awka Diocesan Quiz Competition ends in style as 3 education regions dazzle, test mites. Details of the story can be found on page 8 and 9 of the Fides newspaper. We have another thought-provoking headline on the front page of the Fides newspaper, which is State of the State. You can check out page 14 of the Fides newspaper for more details of the story. Another top story contained in the Fides newspaper reads, Anambra Speaker makes strong case for legislation against femicide discrimination. As the global community marks the International Women's Day, the Speaker of Anambra State House of Assembly, Right Honorable Sontochukwu Udeze, has described women as veritable instruments for human transformation in view of crucial responsibility they shoulder in family upkeep and nation building. This story and more can be found on page 5 of the Fides newspaper. And on page 7, Peter Obi commissions supporters to shop for best candidates for November Guber poll. And on the same page, Anambra native doctors pledge partnership with government to arrest fakes. Native doctors in Anambra State have agreed to partner with the state government to achieve common objectives, especially in area of control for its members. These 2 stories and more can be found on page 7 of the Fides newspaper. And on the advertorial page, Agwata Federal Constituency sends message of felicitation to the Governor of Anambra State, His Excellency Professor Chukwuma Charles Soludo, on the occasion of his 3rd anniversary in office. Details of the story can be found on page 16 of the Fides newspaper. Now let's move over to our editorial segments for this week. Agune Chamber, a growing success. You can have a proper view of our editorial for this week on page 3 of the Fides newspaper. And that's so much on this week's episode of News Flash. Many thanks for tuning in. Kindly do well to follow us on all our social media handles for better news information. And also do not forget to grab a copy of the Fides newspaper this week for better reading experience. I'm still your anchor on News Flash, Dennis Joy. Have a lovely evening.